Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Roots Fun, and I'll be your guide on this practice of meditation through the act of drawing. All you need is some paper and a pen or pencil that you'd like to draw with, and a little bit of time and space to follow along with your breath, the motion of your hand, the continuous flow out onto the paper, and the oscillations of our own rhythms, establishing the baseline for how we come into our space, enter into that openness that provides us with a little creativity and relaxation. Go ahead and gather your supplies, establish your space, and let's draw together. What I was thinking is a bit of a continuous contour, so letting the pen or pencil just start moving, and then along that path, something that might spring up out of that trajectory. Maybe it has some plant or flowery shapes, maybe it's just a figure popping up out of the initial movement, kind of moving across the paper in a continuous way, each extension from that base line responding to the previous. It can be big or just a small expression. Could have more specific shape. I'm going to start to play in the petaliness of flowers. We have to figure out how to get in and out and back. Or just little dancing bubbles up. That's something we can do to keep the pen or pencil moving. Little sprouts from that continuous ground, and that can happen in the up or the down direction. Just letting these two things play and interact. Right now I'm just moving fast, playing around with the pen, getting comfortable with it. As we go into the larger drawing, slow it down to the breath. Just feeling out how my hand wants to move today. Maybe a couple more wiggles, take one kind of slow and gradual as we enter into a little bit of more relaxed pacing. Now that that hand is warmed up, before we enter the longer exercise, letting it move smoothly, lightly, letting go of some of the figure, letting that out onto the page now. Just the motion starting to become that extending out, growing, returning back, and beginning again, springing fresh from the ground there. And seeing what may be possible with our hand this morning, taking another page or extending further out. And I like the top and bottom, the things coming together, so I'll begin at the bottom and just let stuff well up from there and then rain down from the top, but whatever you feel, diagonal, horizontal, take a moment just to give yourself some direction there in the space of the page. Pick a way of the flow and begin with a breath in. And start the action of the pen or pencil as the breath exits the body, perhaps at a cycle, the in or the out. Begin to use that as the measure for extending up, not having to hold it till the next time through, but waiting for transition on those cycles. A natural breath in between, an observation of when we're approaching the change or the transition. It may oscillate in and out differently, where we can begin to adapt the speed of our motion to align with what comes natural to that transition from extending to consolidating. In moves to a new place. In may again move to a new direction or location. Out extends from the body space. Out reconsolidates us to that internal collapse, compression of our lungs. And as you reach towards potentially the end of the page or paper, coming to a close, giving some time to regather, and finding a new trajectory to work along, and work back across from the top, the same idea from the other side. Breath in to establish some space, perhaps now bringing a little bit more guidance and mindful attention as we breathe out in the act of drawing. So allowing the breath, its normal ins and outs, but bringing our awareness to the motion of the hand, coming back to that baseline with the breath out and in, and then out to begin again. Along this journey it's taking, breath normal, but as we return again to the baseline, out to enter the new realm, in to prepare, and out to extend again. And as you return a breath out to release, a breath in, and then out to explore with the pencil. Breathing at the natural rhythm, the time out here just to be one in that moment with the breath, the time for return to recollect, prepare for that exhalation into a new medium, a new mode. The breath in, a time to prepare for reaching out again. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, finding your own pacing there. After established here, the breath in, and then out into center. In at the center, and out to reach into the space. Find shape with this continuous line. Define interaction on the page. And as we may come to the end, this could begin again, smaller in the in-between spaces, or along another edge, perhaps for a moment here, vertical, finding and exploring that own rhythm that you've had, one directed, one free, now one part of the space of the drawing. Giving yourself that time to find some attention to how your breath works with your movement. And if you've filled up a lot of the larger territory around. We can move into any one of these smaller zones, maybe looking over them, tracking with the eyes a little bit, finding a place of interest. I'm drawn to this tighter one here, a deeper space of interaction. And beginning again, tracking along the edge, just a little smaller place, but the same idea. Maybe now, with a refined space, we can do one breath in the transition, and one breath out in the extension. Adjusting the time spent drawing in the figure or in the baseline to how your breath flows. No need to force it fast or slow. We can change the speed of our hand to match with the speed of that stabilizing and grounding breath out as we extend the shape into space, in as we travel to the next extension. Some make it longer or shorter. Some we may begin to guide with our eyes what we observe on the page. Many little areas to start with in here to keep that exploring of the continuous curve of the breath. Perhaps your space allows for it to wrap around, move between whatever's open to you there. Breathing in to transition, and out to reach out and explore into the space. Same movement and technique, shifting intensity or size, finding its own space through the guidance of the breath, its quickness, its gesture, its slowness, and its figure. Centered in with our own rhythm, our own oxygenation, filling the body with its energy. Our own relaxation, that pressure buildup. Exhaling out into a territory, slowly finding some reciprocity between what exists in the page, how we have to maneuver through an increasingly complex territory, and our will or desire to move in any specific way. And at any time moving to new locations, playing a new game with the figure. Mine just seem to be little wobbles that thicken a little bit and then come back into alignment, tracing the edge for a while, and then extending out into space to see what's there. Each one a new play, new territory for the hand, for the eye to explore. the interaction of the many, slowly taking us out of the space of what the figure may be, just swelling up of the breath, that extension of new possibility from the ground, from the baseline, from our centering. Occasionally checking in with the breath, keeping a pacing with our mindful attention. Perhaps keeping it from running away from us. Breathing in to the transitions and out through the expression. Each overlap, space between spaces, a new repetition in the practice of your awareness to the motion, to the figure, to the breath. Growing more and more together as your hand moves, continuous, reaching and exploring, returning to the stable tracking along of an edge. And in some passes or trajectories, we let go of that attention to the breath, let our attention shift inward or closer to the drawing, feeling the motion in our fingertips, in our hand, feeling some of the sway and undulation, maybe in the whole body, observing how that play of the figure can bring exploration, perhaps to the shoulder, to the torso, to the location of the hips. Can your awareness through that close act of drawing extend through the whole body space? There may be subtle little adjustments and alignments, tracking along in the direction of the motion there. Or perhaps an observation of stillness, the movement of the fingertips and the hands, the only thing present. The body distant, taken out of the space for a while to bring greater presence with that act of drawing. As you observe it, it changes. And that observation, does it bring the quiet and the stillness to the body, or was it there already? Perhaps a little of both. For a round of undulations, for a trajectory of the path, you bring attention to your feet. Let the movement of the hand and the pen drift into that space of the automatic. Practiced well here over many rounds and repetitions, following the same trajectories in play. And now Are your feet stable on the ground? Are they dangling or floating? Perhaps folded underneath? Is there a sensation of pressure along the bottom? Extending that mindful practice, realigning it to new conditions, exercising our observational attention. If your feet are bare or uncovered, perhaps there's a breeze or a temperature shift that you could notice there. If you're wearing socks or shoes, the weight, the touch, the pressures of those coverings, noticing the very subtle, the attention of the automatic mind to the drawing provides just enough outside separation to quiet down the other distractions. And if there's any other part of your body or place of presence you want to bring some attention to, maybe a place of tightness or just of sensation, the hair on the head, picking up subtle currents in the airflow around us. The sounds from our environment, gently speaking. And use those external sensations, their subtle effect and influence, as a way to enter some time of quiet in the mind and in the body as you practice a few minutes of just drawing there in the space, continuing the flow or adding new, switching to another tool, and just giving yourself a little time to occupy that condition you've made, the quietness of presence, the flow of drawing. Space of quiet, of being just present there and the action of the drawing, that continuous flowing curve and motion, taking the last few moments here in the exercise perhaps to keep moving, but open up your awareness to reflection on the sensations of that space of quiet, the discoveries that you found on the paper. Broaden the eyes, see further out into the page. What were you drawn to in the action? Where does the shape of the line pull you in, grab your attention, or anything else that comes to mind? Taking some moments of reflection There's a chance for a bit of integration, absorbing the technique, absorbing that rhythm of the self and the breath. Open there. As a way of coming back from the external exercise to yourself, to the internal. Continuing to draw if you like, or perhaps just taking a couple of breaths to realign, shrug the shoulders, in on the shrug up, and out to release. Stretch the hands, give them a little bit of a wobble back and forth, perhaps, just to work out some of those kinks of finer motor action. And on an out breath, open and return to your space. Give yourself a little gratitude for that time spent and enjoy the rest of your day. The continuous winding folds, the narrowing in, the fractal change in scale, densifying, deeper, richer, more an expression towards maybe the metaphor to our mind, coming out there on the paper, or something else for you, whatever emerges during the practice. What did you discover? What do you see afterwards as you reconcile and reflect on the creative expression? Or perhaps just a jumble of squiggles, wrapping, interlocking, overlapping, connecting, releasing, letting out through that cycle of breath, letting out through that attention to continuous motion, becoming present, and being ready to move on into the rest of your day. I thank you for joining. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up below, share with your friends, and subscribe for future episodes every Wednesday morning of this mindful drawing practice. I'm Rooks is Fun, signing off. Draw well. Thank you.